Hello and welcome to Forex London Session live stream. Today is 3rd of August and we will first of all look at what we were anticipating yesterday. Alright, first of all we will look at GBP JPY. In GBP JPY yesterday H4 trend was bearish but the trend just reversed and we moved around 150 pips from the we moved about 230 pips from the lows and however this move occurred out of our live streaming session. We didn't execute it on these trades, and in gold I was anticipating bullish trend, but the trend just got reversed. We just rejected from 1785 area and we dropped like 300 pips from that area. So no big deal because we weren't on charts at that point and we basically just didn't execute it. These trades occurred very late in New York session, so we are totally okay with that. And basically we took three trades yesterday. Both of them, all of them were losers, and today we will again trade and try to find some good trades. First of all, we will look at GBP JPY in monthly time frame. The monthly candle is rejecting, but this monthly candle is just 2 days old. If we look at weekly, in weekly there is no information. The current weekly candle is rejecting from previous lows. We will look at smaller time frame. In daily, we have created a support at 161 area. We will we have resistance at 166 area. This is around 400 pips of range. We will look at smaller time frame and try to find areas of concern. If we look at 4 hour time frame, we can find few areas. All right, if we look at 1 hour time frame, we will readjust our zones a little bit, and yeah, for buys we need to break above 162.500 area for potential move of 100 pips almost, and we are in a range of 100 pips. If we look at M30 time frame, we will readjust this zone. In M30, this will be our zone. For sells, we need to break below this area, 161.300, to potentially get a move of around 100 pips. So ranges in GBP JPY are very big today, and we are just waiting to get some good trades for today. If we look at gold, we will remove everything from past and just by looking at monthly, the monthly candle is almost at same area where it just started. The previous monthly candle has rejected from the lows. So for current monthly candle, it is highly difficult to say where prices can move just by looking at monthly time frame. If we go to weekly time frame, we can see a support at 1703 area and a resistance at 1875 area, which is around 1700 pips. If we go to daily time frame, we can see that we have created a resistance in daily time frame at 1772 area. If we go back to our 4-hour time frame, we will readjust this zone. We now have resistance at 1785 area, and we have support at 1756 area. If we go to 1-hour time frame, we can see we are also creating a resistance in here, and yeah, there is probability we can drop like 80 pips from here, but we are waiting for more confirmations. Below that zone, we have resistance at 1750, almost 50 pips away. We have another resistance at 1744 and another zone at 1737. And if we look at M30 time frame, yeah, these are our three zones, and for sales we need prices to break below this area 1756 to potentially move into this 54 pips of range. For buyers, we are just waiting today. So today ranges are very big, almost 130 pips of range in gold and 100 pips of range in GBP JPY. So stop losses will also be bigger and potential targets will also be bigger. So we are waiting at this point. We are creating small range in gold in here also, and waiting for candles to close. We are in London Open, and although volume is still in there because we are in London Open, but we need to wait for better execution. And yes, actually we moved a lot in later in New York session and in Asian session. So maybe we will consolidate in London session just like we did on Monday and Tuesday, and maybe we can get some good trades. We are open to any situation and we will trade accordingly. But at this point, it makes sense to just wait. M15 candles are about to close in 2 minutes. For potential trades in gold, we want prices to break outside of this range first, break and close outside, and then maybe we can get get some trades. And if we look at GBP JPY, if we break and close above 162.600 area, we can potentially get a move of around 40 pips minimum. And if the volume is with us, we can potentially keep pushing up till 163.800. So it all depends, and for now we need to wait. We are waiting for GBP JPY to break and close above 162.700 area to potentially execute a buy trade. If we look at H4 time frame, we have already moved around 300 pips. So let's see how these candles will close. Alright, M15 candle has closed. This is what I was anticipating. We are forming a consolidation zone in here, and once we break above this zone, I will execute buy position for this is the same trade that happened yesterday. If we look at it in M30 time frame, we moved up 1, 2 and 3 M30 candles. We approached a potential zone in here. this was a zone. And if we look at M15, we created basically a consolidation, little bit of consolidation. And once this candle closed in here, it closed above all the wicks to the left. It means this candle has done something which previous candles were unable to do. And on the next candle, the entry was valid, like placing a stops of like 27 28 pips. We could have secured like 80 pips. So the same thing is happening in here. If we look at M30, we have moved up 1 2 3 M30 candles. We are now forming a consolidation in 15-minute time frame. We need to break above this consolidation to potentially keep pushing up, but unless that happens, we are just waiting. Actually, I forgot to create my digital journal yesterday. I should have created that journal, and I will create it today. Yeah, we are breaking above this consolidation area, but we want this M30 candle to close in about 10 minutes. We are waiting for this M30 candle to close. We are approaching a potential rejection zone at 162.600 area, which is a good sign because now there is probability when we break above this area, prices will keep pushing up at least, if we look left, at least till 163 area or 163.700 area. But we are waiting for this candle to close. Overall trend is, overall I am looking for buys in GBP JPY, and in gold I am not sure where prices can move. So I am waiting for more confirmations in gold. We will focus in GBP JPY at this point. Waiting for candles to close. Got rejected from 162.500 area. That's why we were waiting for candle to close. Let's see how this candle will close. Need to wait for 3 more minutes. The whole idea is this H1 candle is about 85 pips, is about 80 pips, and basically it is a big body candle. We moved up in first half of this H1 candle, so we don't know if we will reject from this area or continue pushing up, but just by looking at volume I can anticipate that we will continue pushing up. That's my reason to execute on this trade, and we'll see how this trade plays out. All right, candle has now closed at this point, and we want a lower wick on this candle first, and then we will execute. In gold, we have closed below this area, this M15 support zone, but it is not a big deal because we have another zone around 12 pips away from current prices. Waiting in gold makes more sense, and in GBP JPY I am basically planning my buys. I want a lower wick on this candle so that I can execute confidently, but that may not happen, so I am totally okay with that. If we look at M30, we see that most of the candles have lower wicks like this. The previous candle has lower wicks, and almost every candle has lower wick except for few, and I also want a lower wick on this M30 candle so that I can execute a trade. Yeah, the candle is now creating a lower wick. Basically, this happened to me yesterday. I executed my trade early. There was no lower wick. This wick was created later on, and I basically got stopped out, else I would have captured this 50 pips of move. So we will not repeat same mistakes again and again. Now if it breaks its own high, I will execute a trade by placing a stop of around 17 pips. I will place my buy stop in here, and now I will wait. The volume in GBP JPY is in here. If we break above this area, we can potentially get 37, 38 pips from the trade. And yes, waiting in gold. In gold, it is difficult at this point to get a trade. We will just focus on GBP JPY on this trade only, and after that we will wait in gold and other things. Although gold can keep pushing down if we break below the previous low of M30 candle, but it is a risky trade to get on to, and I will just avoid this trade. I will just look at GBP JPY. Well, the question is, will GBP JPY break its own high or not? And our answer is, if it breaks its own high of this M15 candle, we will execute a position. Waiting in gold and in GJ. We have retraced all the way down to 162.300, the zone which we have drawn in M15 time frame, and which is not a very good sign for our buy trades, but our buy trades may appear later on. For that we need to wait on, and we will just hang on to our buys above 162.640 area. Yeah, I will remove this buy stop and I will wait in here. We need to wait for few more minutes for candles to close. Waiting in GJ, waiting in gold. Yeah. Trading is basically the game of patience and managing your risk. Still, there is probability if we break above this high on next 30-minute candle, we can potentially keep pushing up. If I can show you right in here, this trade was executed on same idea. I was basically anticipating buys if we break above this wick because we are moving up with so much volume, but this M30 candle closed bearish. So at that point, I basically knew that if we break above these highs, we are moving up. But the mistake I made was I executed early on. This low was created later on. If I could have waited like 3-4 more minutes, I could have secured this move. So this move can happen in GJ also. If on next 30-minute candle we starts to break above the highs, we can get a pretty good trade. For that we need to wait. Today will be a long wait game in my opinion, but let's see. We are waiting for M30 candles to close in around 11 more minutes, and then maybe we can get a trade. So in this scenario, the M15 candle is trying to break above these highs, and only 9 minutes left in this M15 candle to close. M30 candle is still bearish. 9 minutes left in this H1 candle to close. So this execution could be risky even if we break above the high. So I am basically waiting for 8 more minutes. Let's see how this candle will close. And in gold, we are trying to break below these lows, but in last 7 minutes, only 7 minutes left in these candles to close. Although there is a probability we will keep pushing down if we break below these wicks, but the whole idea is candles are about to close in 7 minutes, and waiting for 7 minutes make more sense. And yeah, J candle is again rejecting. We need to wait for 15 more minutes for next M15 candle to close in GBP JPY for our potential buys. need to wait for 5 more minutes. We are just waiting and watching markets in here. Gold and GBP, JPY. Waiting for these candles to close and nothing much to do in here. We are just waiting for candles to close. If we look at it, the current H4 candle is around 100 pips. and which is a huge body candle in my opinion, and it also indicates that there is volume in market, and this H4 candle will close in 1 hour. And yeah, now I am waiting for this M30 candle to basically create a low first, and I will execute buy position in GBP JPY as per our anticipation and as per our plan. Although we are breaking above the highs, but the whole problem is this M30 candle is only 2 minutes old, which is not a good indication. So I am just waiting for a few more minutes. Basically, I am waiting for this M30 candle to create a low first, because this was exactly what happened yesterday in gold. Candles was like this. I executed a trade once it starts breaking the high, and later on candles come down, created a wick, and then starts pushing up. If I can show you, this wick to the downside was created later on. First there was no wick. We have plain no wick candle. So I don't want to repeat the same mistake. ये फेंक दो बाहर नीचे. The whole problem is this M15 candle don't have a lower wick, waiting for that wick formation. Yeah, at this point we have a lower wick in M30 time frame, and now if we break above the highs, I will execute a position for potential 34-35 pips of trade. Now we are just waiting for market to pick up our buy stop, and yeah, we are good. Waiting for current 15-minute candle to close. The entry will be valid on next 15-minute candle also. Alright, we are waiting for candles to pick our buy stop and continue pushing up. And we are just waiting in here. And in gold, we are also waiting. Gold is just basically consolidating in here. And maybe we can see some moves in New York Session in gold. And if we look at news today, there are low impact news in US dollar. And yes, we are just waiting. The only good trade in here is GBP. This trade is only valid for next 13 minutes. If prices didn't moved up in current 15-minute candle, then we will just remove our buy stop. and go with our day. In gold, we are waiting. We are about to activate our buy stop in GBP JPY. Our stop loss will be around 30 pips. We are waiting in GBP JPY, but it seems like volume is dying in GBP JPY. But still, we will see how current M30 candle will close, and we will plan accordingly. In gold, we are just consolidating, very little to no movement in gold. 8 minutes left in this M30 candle to close. Let's wait and see how this M30 candle will close, and then maybe we can adjust our entry. We are planning buys above 162.700 area, but it seems like buys. We are just consolidating in here. We have created a new range of 30 pips. I want current 15-minute candle to break above the highs and continue pushing up, and we will see how this M15 candle will close, how this M30 candle will close overall, and then maybe we can get some idea where prices will head to. For now, we are just waiting. There is nothing in gold. Gold is just consolidating, and all right, 5 minutes left in this M15 candle to close. If it closes bearish, then it will be a confirmation that we are creating a new consolidation in GBP JPY. This consolidation is of about 20 pips. At that point, we will just remove our buy stop, and we will try to find trades in New York session. In gold, there is nothing. We are just consolidating. Yeah, man, this is actually a formation of new consolidation in GBP JPY. We are consolidating in GJ and in gold. So the London session was very slow. Only good move was this move, which happened earlier on, and at this point I have removed my buy stop because the probability of this M30 candle moving bullish has died altogether, and for now we will just wait. We will watch the market and we will wait. Although the H1 candle is still open, and in 30 minutes H4 candle will close, maybe we break above the highs and continue pushing up on next H4 candle, and in H1 we basically are moving down in second half of this H1 candle. So we will wait at this point because no entries are present. We are just consolidating. All right, M30 candle has closed, and H1 candle is still open. We have created an upper wick. We have this maybe now there are two chances that we have created this a high of current H1 candle, and we will either consolidate or move down for the rest of H1 candle, like for the rest of 30 minutes, or we are basically creating a new low to potentially move up, break above the highs and continue pushing up. So these are two probabilities. So let's see what will happen. We have basically broken below the low of previous M30 candle in first 1 minute. We are just waiting in here. If we break above these highs, still there is probability that we will continue pushing up. That's why I have placed my buy stops. My stop loss on this trade will be 30 pips, and today the markets are very slow. We have just consolidated in London session. Basically, from past 3 days, starting from this Monday, we are just consolidating on new London session. We basically move a lot in New York session and later into New York session, but we just consolidate on New York session. Waiting for 6 more minutes in in M15 candle to close. This buy trade is finally died. I have just removed this, and gold is basically dropping, but we have also approached a potential resist support zone. Although this support zone was M15 support, but the whole problem is there is no volume in gold. That's why we will just wait. We will come back later in New York session to potentially execute a trade. And yes, I am only waiting for this M30 candle in GBP and in gold for me there is nothing. I know that people may be trading this move in gold, but I am not. I will not just trade this move. In GJ I will wait. Waiting in gold, waiting in GJ. Alright, 15-minute candle has closed. Let's see how current 15-minute candle will behave. Will it break above these areas, which is 33 pips, or not? That's the question. And in gold, we have very little to no volume. Alright, at this point, I will just end my live stream. I will see you guys later in New York session. We waited 2 hours in front of chart. We didn't find any good trade, and because we just consolidated in London session. If we look back, we also consolidated on Tuesday. If we look back on Monday, we also consolidated on Monday. And if we look at gold, In London session, we just consolidated. This is 40 pips of consolidation on Tuesday, and on Monday, although we were able to secure some profits. So at this point, I will just call it a day and come back in New York session to potentially execute